Okay, another video. Moto Maddox. We have the Z900 out. This will be sort of a combination review of the Z900. Just went over 2,000 miles, but I also recently just adjusted my rider sag, so this is the first time I've taken the bike out. So we'll review if I notice any kind of changes in the way the bike feels, you know, with the rider sag adjusted properly. The front was already pretty good. The rear was off by about 10 to 15 millimeters, so we just used the old school mallet and punch to dial those rings in a bit. Didn't take too much effort, but yeah, been enjoying this bike. I can't even remember how many years it's been. I guess it's been a couple riding seasons, but the more accurate kind of representation of how much use I've gotten out of this bike is the 2,000 mile mark. So just went over 2,000 miles. I've done a ton of modifications on the motorcycle. Just looking at it, let's go over a few. Let me see if I can remember the order. So the first thing, of course, tail tidy. That's the Yoshimura fender eliminator kit. Also did the Puig Pro frame sliders. Those are really good, especially for, you know, accidental tip overs. It happens to the best of us, so it's always good to put those on. I do remember it was a little bit of a issue kind of putting I think it was one of these into, because you have to pull out the engine mounts and replace the bolts, and so it's kind of a pain to do that. So we have the frame sliders, we have high sider bar ends with Moto Gadget glassless mirrors. You can see the ASV levers, those are really nice. Also have done Evotech radiator guard, and while we're down here we can look at the Black Widow full exhaust. Have that fitted to a MIV MK3 silencer. I did have a few issues with the connector pipe, so you know, I had this kind of rigged up when I first installed it, but I've recently had this connector pipe expanded to fit the outlet of the exhaust, which is 55 millimeters, and the connector is 50. So I took it to an exhaust shop. They just used a hydraulic tool, expanded this out, and it fit right in nice and snug. Oh, almost forgot about the carbon fiber heel guards. Let's see what else we have. You know, the usual tank grips, combination of tech spec, and I also had a little gel pad and a Corbin seat, which was really nice. That Corbin seat wound up being a really practical upgrade. And Kawasaki what is it, rear seat cowl. So yeah, been enjoying this bike. So let's fire it up, take it on the twisties a little bit. We can test out that new geometry now that the rider sag is set up, and see how it is. So this is a road where you can really test out the geometry of the bike. It's a bit uneven, so it's a lot of bumps and little undulations in the road. And one thing I can say that I've noticed immediately is that the bike kind of settles a lot faster now that my rear preload is set up properly, you know, when I'm going over bumps, you immediately feel the bump, but it's a quick event. It's not like it's continuously going up and down. It kind of settles pretty quickly. The other interesting thing is, since the bike seems to kind of go over the bumps and each kind of bump event, if you want to call it, is really quick and finite. The thing I noticed is that when there's lots of bumps in succession, you feel each and every one of them. So it's like a little rhythmic kind of bump thing going on. I know I kind of, you know, butchered that analogy, but it's kind of hard to describe. You know, whereas before, you know, the first bump, you know, kind of continued along, so you didn't even really feel all the individual and succinct kind of like potholes and bumps in the road, but now you kind of feel them all independently. It's a nice Corvette. So normally I would kind of cut the camera off when I'm stuck behind a car, but it's something about being stuck behind like a cool car that looks good. It makes it a little easier. Like if this was, you know, a regular sedan going the same speed, I'd be super frustrated and probably quick to pass it, but something nice about being behind a nice sports car. Farm equipment. Now we can get back to it. But yeah, I mean, the bike feels pretty good after making those adjustments. Nothing too crazy. You know, the other thing I did just do is adjust my clutch cable. When I was pulling the bike out of the garage, it felt like it wasn't disengaging fully, so I just double checked the clutch tension at the basket. Actually took out all the slack at the basket and left a little bit of slack at the clutch lever. Alright, so this next little section is really where we'll test the geometry. This road right here, really bumpy. See, I just went over a bump and it settled real quickly. It just, I normally would feel the bike upset a little bit more, so it's kind of funny with just regular adjustments can do to the way the bike kind of performs. Almost has me wondering, you know, how this bike would be with you know, upgraded suspension. So many different options. You know, the Ohlins that comes on the SC, Maxton, K-Tech. We'll see if I get bored. I think the next upgrade, I'm kind of got my money's worth out of these stock tires. It's time to upgrade the tires. That'll probably make a significant difference in how the bike feels, but you know, for the riding I do, nice Sunday ride, really satisfied with the Z900. Yeah, you know, like all these bumps here, even that one, those potholes and dips. It's a faster vent than when I didn't have the rear preload set properly. Lots of bumps right there. Feel settled. I don't feel like it's out of control at all. These hills, you can feel the bike kind of lift up at the apex or the top of the hill. You know, you feel the suspension extend a bit. It settles nicely. So I think this thing is in pretty nice operating range. That one was a little bumpy. Alright. For this next section, I'm gonna be quiet. So the Z900, I think we have a nice setup right now. Not too many things I need to do. Tires, after tires, maybe suspension, maybe tune, but after that I think this bike will be all set, good to go. Then I'll think about maybe what would be a good second bike. Right now I'm thinking maybe an adventure bike, maybe a super sport, who knows, kind of leaning toward adventure bike. But yeah, 2,000 mile review, Kawasaki Z900, nice platform, really nice platform. Add a few modifications to the bike, get it just like you want it. Yeah. Has that growl, that inline 4 growl. All you have to do is just swap out the exhaust pipes to unleash it, and you're in business.